Hey fellow backyard bowyers, Nick here. Now here's the bow that we worked on last week. I went ahead and shot it out. I've put about 200 arrows through it and everything's holding steady. It's a little over 40 pounds, so I'm really happy with that. What we're going to be doing today is just finishing it up. The first thing I'm going to do is spray paint the tips. Now for this particular bow, I'm not going to spray paint the whole thing because I've started going back to tape wrapping bows, which is something that I used to do when I first started getting into this, because tape is really nice. It doesn't chip off, it doesn't flake, and if it does get messed up, you can always reapply it. Now one of the things with paint is that over time it will start to chip or crack in areas where it's flexing. So what tends to happen is that areas like this, transitions here, out in the handle, and then right along the mid limbs usually start chipping out. And this happens after 2 to 3 years or so, maybe even more. And so this is something that, while it won't affect the bow in the beginning, it could affect it later on down the road. I haven't had that problem with tape or cloth wrapping a bow. So what we're going to be doing today is just painting the tips just so they look nice, and there will be a little bit of wear, but that's all right. The tips usually wear pretty well. And then we're going to be taping the rest of this bow. So I'm just painting both tips, and you want to go light. Just do a light coat, let it dry for a few seconds, then go back and cover over it again. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I have a nice even coat on both tips. Now that the paint is pretty much dry, I'm going to start taping this up. Now before I get started, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Arthur Street Objects on Instagram for the inspiration for this style of wrap. I've used electrical tape to wrap bows before, but the way he does it with sort of a double layered wrap really gives a nice clean look, something that I've never really done with tape before. So I'm starting out with some electrical tape. This is Scotch brand colored tape. It's a very thin and lightweight electrical tape that I like. And another thing that I really like about this is it's really high quality. It doesn't get sticky or come apart over time. And that's something you want to look for in an electrical tape. So I'm going to start right at the base of this transition here. That way when the string comes down, it'll end up resting mainly on the tape and it won't mess up this paint too bad. So I'm going to start bringing it around, and then what you want to do is find the center of the previous strip. You want to place the leading edge or the back edge on the center, and you want to keep it there. So you want to just keep everything fairly tight as you go, and I'm going to wrap with the blue down to this mark here, and then I'm going to switch to my limb color. Okay, so now that I'm down to there, I'm just going to cut this off. Now I've got some green tape that I'm going to use for my main limb wrap, and I'm just going to start taping away. Okay, so now I've come down to this mark, which is one that I made 4.5 inches out from the center. That way I can have a 9-inch center section, which is a different color than the limbs. So I'm going to wrap down to here and then break it off. And then I'm going to be wrapping blue from here to here. But before I do that, I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm just going to wrap the other limb first. Just going to continue the wrapping here. And just wrap the entire center section. You can see that as I'm wrapping over where the arrows have gone, you can still see the faint impression of those marks. And that way I can keep track of where my arrow pass is going to go. Alright, once I get to this end here, I just break it off. And there we go. Now that everything's wrapped, I'm going to use some black electrical tape just to create nice transition points. Just going to apply it everywhere there's a transition from one color to another. And instead of tearing it, I'm just going to cut it so that the edge is nice and clean. And after all the tape is applied, I'm going to go back and put a little bit of super glue right here so that it won't lift. Now that I've wrapped all the transitions, I'm going to be placing my arrow pass, and then we'll wrap the rest of the handle. So you can see right here, that's where the marks from the arrows are. They're pretty faint. I don't know if you can see them on camera, but I can see them right there. And I'm going to be placing my arrow pass, which is just half of a piece of a little Velcro pad. Now this is the hook side, or the hard plastic side of the pad, and I'm using that because it takes a long time to wear through this, and this lasts longer than the softer side. But if you wanted the bow to be quieter, then use the softer part of the Velcro. So I'm just going to remove the backer and then place it right there where the marks are. And the reason why you want to put something like this is because after shooting this bow for a while, especially if your arrows are a little on the rough side, they will start to cut a groove in the side of the bow. And after several thousand arrows, you could potentially cause a weak spot there. So now I'm going to do an overwrap on the handle just to give it a little more grip and make it a little more comfortable. When I put on this grip tape, I want to do it upside down. So I like to measure about 4 inches on the handle. So it's from about there to here. I'm going to start down here, wrap around, and start wrapping up the handle. So now that I've got this line right here nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and cut the roll off with about 5 inches. Okay, so I've gone ahead and cut at an angle so that I can finish this end off. So I'm going to go put some super glue on all the exposed tape edges, and then we can try this thing out. And here we are at 10 yards. And here it is. If you enjoyed finishing this bow along with me today, please let me know what other things you'd like to see me build in the comments below. And if you like what I'm doing, be sure to check out my channel for other videos like this. And I've also written several books on different topics, and I'll put a link to those in the description below. And if you'd like to help support this channel in a more direct way and ensure I continue doing more videos into the future, be sure to check out my Patreon page. And before I go, I'd like to thank all of my supporters on Patreon. It's because of you that I'm able to put out content like this. So, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!